Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be checking out a movie from 2006, and that movie is a movie I've really wanted to see for the last 15 years, but for one reason or another, I never got round to actually doing it. That movie, ladies and gentlemen, is The Last King of Scotland. Now, I've heard this is apparently supposed to be a historical drama of a doctor who went out to Uganda. At some point, I believe it was possibly... Because I don't know when Idi Amin was Uganda's otherwise ruthless dictator. And maybe it will it'll help me out, especially... Well, actually, I say that. It says... release date 12th January 2007. So I think I'll just correct this and say that it was from 2007. I genuinely, aside from that, I know it's about a doctor who goes out to Uganda during the reign of Idi Amin, and I heard that this apparently has James McAvoy and Forrest Whitaker. I don't entirely sure who plays Idi Amin. I'll make sure to just do a very quick check just to make sure. It's Forrest Whitaker himself who plays Idi Amin. Okay, that's fair enough. James McAvoy, Kerry Washington, Gillian Anderson, Simon Goodburney. It sounds like a very, very strong cast. And now here's the thing. Despite the fact that it's an Academy Award and BAFTA winner, which, trust me, they don't just hand stuff like that out to anybody. But I'm wondering right now what exactly is there going to be in this? Because for all I know, it might not be as good as I think it might be. However, I've waited almost 15 years to finally get down and see what this is all about. So, what a better way to find out than to check it out right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out The Last King of Scotland. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was The Last King of Scotland. Let me just put a pause on that. Right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so nearly 15 years, and I finally get to see The Last King of Scotland. Was it what I expected? To be honest, actually, that's kind of like a good place where I really kind of want to start this, because after watching it, you wouldn't genuinely think it, but this really did happen. This really was about Idi Amin's strange relationship with Dr. Nicholas Carrigan. And it's sort of like one of those stories you think about, it's going to be this story of this crazed lunatic who has this really warm and touching side. But it's kind of a bit like that, which you might argue makes it a little bit hard to believe, because it sounds like a sort of like a cliche. I don't really particularly like to use the term cliche when it comes to films, but it seems like the sort of thing where you can't quite believe it's going to be like this. But then again, if you reminded yourself that this is based on real events, then maybe this really was true, because Forrest Whitaker's portrayal as Idi Amin is nothing short of remarkable. I mean, Idi Amin is presented as this liberating, very expressive, excitable child. Idi Amin is in essence a child in this movie. He is paranoid. He is obsessed to the breaking point, to the breaking point with power. He has no trust in everything. He will completely go off his trolley and slaughter. I mean, I think it's said in the end that he slaughtered more than 300,000 Ugandans just to prove that there would be nobody who could stand in his way. And he says quite early on that he had to be ruthless in order to not be a man who shows fear. And certainly, if you heard from Amin's upbringing as a poor boy who worked as a kitchen cleaner for the British Army, and then this kind of like starts where Idi Amin's very strange sort of fascination with the British Army, and then immediately turns quite warm and open-hearted when he finds out that Nicholas Carrigan is Scottish, which I have to say is quite. Any time, especially in the very earliest scenes when you see Armin just talking to Carrigan, he is so over the top with excitement and enthusiasm because he's met a man who is. I mean, McAvoy does something very early on in this movie that I straight up never would have expected McAvoy to ever do in a movie like this. He just, while he's treating to Armin's fractured hand, he immediately just picks up his gun and then shoots this cow dead. And that's kind of like what sets the wheels in motion. I mean, that's, I think, the more I think about it, I think that's the thing that attracted Armin to Carrigan more than anything else. The fact that if there's a nuisance, just put a bullet through it. That's what Armin saw in Carrigan, and Carrigan just goes through the movie just trying to figure out whether or not there's a point to being in Uganda. He goes there searching for something. He searches there to be a purpose to serve the people of Uganda in the early 1970s. And as far as we can work out, especially as the movie goes on, he somehow just all of a sudden gets caught up in a country in the middle of a revolution. And certainly there is absolutely no way, shape or form you can look the fact that Armin's presidency was nothing short of a dictatorship. He literally would answer to no one. And like I said, 300,000 people he slaughtered before his regime came to an end in 1979, where apparently, what was it say they got near the end? Let me just pull up the thing. When he was finally overthrown in 1979, jubilant crowds poured out onto the streets. And then they just show these really candid photos of Idi Amin looking happy and jubilatious. So, but what I got from all of these is that apparently it said that Idi Amin died on August 16th, 2003 when he was in exile in Saudi Arabia, and nobody knew whether or not that was the foretold death of Armin would come in his dream. He speaks quite open. He references dreams quite a lot in this movie about all of a sudden he knows when his death will come because he saw it in a dream. Now, I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there was also a Burmese dictator shortly after the end of the Second World War. I can't quite remember what his name was exactly, but he was also a lunatic who was largely influenced by his dreams, just almost in the exact same tone as Armin. But what's striking actually between these two people, and actually I'll tell you what, I'm going to see if I can look up exactly who his name was. I don't want to get anything because I'm somewhat fascinated by Armin, and if this was and his betrayal, and the fact that all of a sudden he's got parades in kilts playing bagpipes. I mean, I have no reason to doubt that that's not true. The footage and the pictures they're showing are really, really candid, and I have no reason to disbelieve them. And McAvoy, actually, before I get up the clip, just to make sure, McAvoy, I think he's just like, I'm not entirely sure if I could have thought of anybody else for this role. I mean, he was young back in 2007, bright, he had really skinny, very trustworthy, he was very friendly to a lot of people, especially to this Ugandan lover called Joy he meets a bit later on in the film, who Armin slaughters. And then I don't know whether or not it was Pol Pot was the one who infamously put just heads into fridges, but what Armin ordered his men to do, and this was really, really sick, cut off her arms and legs and then put the legs onto her arms and then arms for legs. It's about as dire as it looks. Right, no, bloody, I'm not the right one. Let me just pull this up quickly, because I have no reason to doubt, based on what I heard about Armin's regime, is that it was probably a lot more dire and a lot more gruesome than this. And the point of reference I'm actually looking for was in a Top Gear special, so I'm just going to quickly scroll through that. Don't worry guys, I'll just make sure to cut this part out. Oh, here it is. That didn't take long.
They drive on the right. This is because for 46 years Burma was run by a chap called General Ne Win.
There we are, General Ne Win. And I'm curious actually right now whether or not there was ever a film made about Ne Win, because I'm thinking right now that there were quite a lot of parallels to both Armin and Ne Win, and there probably throughout history there's probably many people who replicated, I'd say, the kind of hideousness of their power. I mean, you could look at Henro Hito, you could look at Stalin, you could look through Hitler, Mussolini, Armin, Pot, Queen Mary the First. There's Ne Win, just too many to count. But what I think separates, what I found quite interesting about the film about Armin is that you could tell just by watching every single scene that Armin is in, is that you never know what he's going to do next. He is unpredictable, and that makes him terrifying. Is that he could be jolly, fat and happy 1 minute, and then he's scratching his head, pacing up and down with fear in Forrest Whitaker's eyes. That's something. And he just does this mid-scene, like a part where Karagin begs to go home, and Armin just almost crushes him in his hands. I mean, people say Idris Elba's a very strong lad, but Whitaker looks just as big. I'm no modding whatsoever. And I am just compelled. That was the whole film, because basically the film is Karagin goes to Uganda. He somehow gets involved with Armin in preparing his hand. He goes to live in Cape Hall, or I know it's their capital. Suddenly rises to the rank of first assistant. Nearly gets assassinated when he's driving Armin to the airport. Karagin realizes that he's got to get out of there as soon as possible. Then basically, during a plot that British Embassy are having with Armin and Karagin, is that they want Karagin to poison Armin and they can get him home, because they took away his passports, they took away his money, they took away any chance that Karagin would have of ever getting home. Kind of strange, really, when you think about it. If they were so keen to hold Karagin hostage, why not just kill him anyway? Because if they knew if he would get away, he would spread his story to the world about how ruthless and insane Armin was. But then again, you could argue that's another part of Armin's side there, is that he, at the end of the day, still heavily trusts his doctor friend. And he couldn't do anything without him. Makes you think that, doesn't it? But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, was it worth the wait? Yes, it was. I got and also I think it was also done by Fox Search Pictures. It's not the same as 21st Century Fox. I think it's like a subdivision, I think. And it was also co-made by DNA Films and Film 4. Film 4 was also the guys who gave us Four Lions. Someday I've got to just straight up make an entire month worth of Film 4 films, because they have been nothing short of compelling so far. So both of them critically acclaimed, so it will be good to see what comes next. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this review of The Last King of Scotland. I hope all of you guys have enjoyed, and I will hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care, bye-bye for now.